And welcome to another episode of My Two Cent. My name is Paul Emerson, and I'll be giving you my 2 cents. Today's topic is run day. Like always, every 3 days, my goal this year in 2024, my goal this year in 2024 is to run every 3 days. Is to run every 3 days. And run, I mean jog. But jog day doesn't sound as epic as run day, considering that I'm also including a 6120 run as well as a 10-mile run, a 10K run within my schedule. My 2 cent has always been a channel about philosophy and science and philosophy. The three major core values that define who I am as a individual is philosophy, science, and my love of women. So that's why I got married. I've been married for a little over a year now, and that's not what this is about. I'm gonna not digress. I'm actually making this video because I'm married. Because I told my wife, yeah, I'm running, and her response was, oh, you got a newfound obsession. I don't want to hear about you running, please. I don't care, yada yada, etc., etc. And then later the next day, she responds with, I do care about what you're doing and how you feel, and I'm interested in everything that you want to do and all of your endeavors. But people don't understand that when you come to somebody who, regardless of who they are, and you communicate with them, what you got to say to somebody isn't more important than that person. But the fact that we take the time out of every day to actually interact with each other on any level is relevant and important. And we are so selfish as individuals that we don't care. We don't care however I feel, when I feel, however I feel is more important to me than the people around me because I'm a human being. So my desire to share with my wife, yeah, I'm running. She doesn't care because she's doing whatever it is she's doing in her life. But see, that's the conflict. This is the foundation of why I created my 2 cents. Because why is it so difficult for us to human? I work at Arby's, right? So Arby's has a DoorDash feature like everyone else. So there's this couple that comes to Arby's almost every other day. They order 2 shakes, right? They order 2 shakes through the order ahead, and they come to the drive-thru to get their 2 shakes. So they pull up to the microphone and they say, I've got to order ahead for so-and-so. It's like, okay, you got to order ahead for so-and-so. It's 2 shakes. Okay, we got you. You can pull it onto the window. Can you make sure that you put the whipped cream topping on the shake? Every time they come to the drive-thru and order the same exact thing, they say the same thing and we respond the same way. Okay, we got it. We'll put the whipped cream on there. So even though as participants of Arby's, we know that we're supposed to be professional and put the customer service first. But when you have regular customers that come through all the time, it's extraordinarily irritating and disrespectful to be told, put the whipped cream on the shakes. Y'all forgot last time. We didn't forget last time because we remember you. We know who you are. So when he came through, I'm overworked. I'm super exhausted. So when he came through yesterday, he said the same thing he always says. And the response that he gets from my coworkers is the same response he got from me. He like, oh, it's an order for so-and-so. Like, yes, I know who you are. It's just 2 shakes. Yes, I'm aware that it's just 2 shakes. Pull around to the window. Pull around to the window is the cue, right? This is the conflict that we have with him. When we say pull around to the window, we know who you are. Pull around to the window. His next response is always, can you make sure that they put this whipped cream topping on the shake? Who are they? I already put the whipped cream topping on the shake. The shakes are already made. They're already stickered. They're already ready to go. Pull around to the next window. Just pull around. We ain't got time for this. We got to get the orders out in less than 10 seconds, right? So he pulls up to the window. So I said the same thing that I always say. He was like, can you make sure they put the whipped cream topping on the shake? I said, we know who you are. We always put the whipped cream topping on the shake. Pull around to the window. He pulls up to the window and he feels defensive, right? He wants to defend himself. So he puts it in the window. He's like, yeah, every time I come through, you guys don't always put the whipped cream topping on the shake. We don't always do anything because infinities are not true. There's no such thing as infinite. So there's no way that I can absolutely say that I will always put whipped cream topping on his shake, right? I can't say that. I can't say it. But we've never not done it. The thing that he doesn't understand is we make 100 shakes a day between all of us. One of us might forget to put whipped cream topping on it, or one of us might decide, for whatever reason, that this shake doesn't need whipped cream topping because he's not the only customer. That's the dynamic you don't understand. So my response to him when he came to the window was, you're going to come back and you're going to say that you have an order with 2 shakes on it, and we're going to say, okay, pull around to the window. And you're going to say, can you make sure that they don't put the whipped cream topping on the shake? And we're going to respond, we took care of that and we never forget. So I'll see you in 2 or 3 days. And he laughed and he left. And that's the energy that I created my 2 cents from. Because at the end of the day, the ability for us to interact in human is fine. The conflict is, why can't we just do that? Why is it so difficult for us to just human? Why can't we just go out and just human? Why does it have to be so hard? Why is it so difficult for somebody to come to McDonald's and say, I want a double cheeseburger, a large fry, and a drink? Okay, pull it out to the window. They come to the window, they give us their money, we give them their money, they get to the next window, they get their order, they get everything in their order correctly, and then they leave. Why is that so hard? What is so hard about that? But the people on the outside of the fast food exchange don't understand. Let me get a double Big Mac, I want a large fry, I want everything fresh. Can you make sure that my pop has exactly 3 ounces of ice in it? Like, I don't have the tools for that. Like, all I do is make food. That's easy. I make food, it's easy. You ask for complicated things that makes it harder, and then you're offended that I got over $150 worth of food, and I wanted 7 sauces, and I only got 6. Well, the more complex you make your order, the higher the probability of a lack of order accuracy. Furthermore, no one's actually measuring how accurate we are, right? Let me put it like this. The average car count at McDonald's is about 60 cars per hour. If you work 8 hours a day, 6 times 8 is 48, right? I think that's right. Quick math on top of my head. If 6 times 8 is 48 and you have to add a 0, it's 480 cars. If I get 5 orders wrong out of 480, I am a failure. I'm a failure. But if you do the average on that, it's over 99%. So I would get an A+. So my worst days at McDonald's, I would still get graded as an A+ student. But because we hyperinflate failure and fatigue and loss and the inability and incompetence, you're incompetent. If somebody comes to McDonald's and they want a double Whopper with cheese without pickle, and the sandwich says ketchup, mustard, onions, and pickles, the correct way to make a sandwich is ketchup, mustard, onions, and pickles, right? So when a customer asks for it without pickles, you're asking me to make it wrong, right? So if you get a sandwich with ketchup, mustard, onions, pickles on it, I made the sandwich right, but you're offended because you wanted it without pickles. So by definition, it's wrong. But from my perspective, I made it correctly because I made it according to the standard that has been set by McDonald's. And this is the foundation of my 2 cents, and this is the reason why I'm running. All of this ranting and raving is a unification of self. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I know what I want to do in my life. I've known what I wanted to do in my life since I was 16. When I was 16, I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. I wanted to do what Elon Musk is doing. And I'm not just saying that because it's all hype and everything. The reason why I'm saying that is because the reason why I didn't take that path, the reason why I didn't go to college and become an aerospace engineer and a rocket scientist and then try to apply for a job at NASA so that I could help them get from their redundant system, the one that existed before Elon Musk, to the one that Elon Musk has, because that's what I envisioned as a young kid growing up in the 90s in my basement playing with Legos. The reason why I didn't do that is literally because of racism. Me and my cousin looked at each other at the age of 16, 17, and 19, and we were like, what do you think the probability of us starting an aerospace industry so we can go out in space and travel to other planets? These are the kind of conversations that kids in the 90s was having. These are like normal conversations that a 17 and an 18-year-old, a high school student in the 90s on average was having these types of high-level intellectual conversations. And me and my cousin was having a high-level conversation about aerospace engineering. But every child in high school, our generation, was on some college expert, master, adult level crap. We visioned ourselves as masters of our craft while we were studying at the high school level. That's the reason why my 2 cents doesn't have anything about children, because the children that I know to exist, we wasn't running around we were watching cartoons for entertainment, but we were thinking big and we were visioning greatness. That's why all of our songs embody that. it embodies this need to be great. It embodies this need to achieve greatness. And we individually hold each other back and dumb each other down. So I didn't go into the aerospace industry because of discrimination and racism and prejudice. I literally was like, what's the point? Why should I spend the next 20 years of my life getting in debt, trying to go to college? Why would I want to sit in a physics class trying to learn about rocketry just to constantly be told, no, you should just be a janitor. You should just be a janitor. You should just learn how to be a pool boy. You should just learn how to go be a garbage man. Because of my skin complexion. You know, your skin complexion makes you the perfect person to be able to go out in the world and achieve greatness in the fields of sanitation or entertainment. And it's like, I don't want to do that. Can I just do what I want to do in my life? I'm not trying to gangbang. I'm not trying to rob people. I'm not trying to be a pimp. Why can't I just be the person that I want to be? What I decided for myself when I realized that I didn't want to conquer the adversities when I decided I didn't want to conquer the adversities of racism in this country, what I decided for myself was video games, comic books, and story writing was perfectly up my alley. In fact, I didn't even decide to be a creative writer. When I was in high school, going to McKinsey High, which doesn't even exist anymore, well, it might exist, but when I was in high school, I wanted to get into electrical engineering. That was my dream. I actually went to college. I was sold the idea by Spartan Aeronautics to become an avionics engineer because I got a phone call. I'm ranting and raving, but I don't know how else to do this. I'm ranting and raving. I got a phone call from Spartan Aeronautics to become an avionics engineer and go to college to build airplanes. In fact, one of the greatest memories that I have in life was being on the base in college for Spartan Aeronautics. And mind you, I was in the Army for 6 years. When I was 19 years old, I experienced my very first UFO. It was a low-flying B-2 bomber. It was so low, I could see the bomb doors. I could see all the perfections, the imperfections, and the actual designing and engineering of the craft. It was definitely human-made, but it was more quiet. I want you to understand what I'm about to say. This airplane was probably about 100 to 150 feet off the ground. It would have crashed into a low-level building. It was that low to the ground. It was so quiet that I didn't even hear it. When it was flying, the thing that caught my attention was somebody else was looking at it. Somebody else was looking up in the sky, and I'm like, what are they looking at? And I look up, it's a B-2 bomber. It's a B-2 bomber flying straight at us. And it was so low to the ground that it cast a dark shadow. It was like noon when it went overhead. It was that low to the ground. For a few seconds, it was like noon. And it was completely quiet. It was quieter than an SUV. It was quieter than a microwave. It was by definition silent, even though there's no such condition. There's no way that a machine that big can be silent. But the amount of noise it put out in relation to what it should be putting out, my mind registered as completely silent. You know. So again, back to high school. When I went to high school, I wanted to get into electrical engineering. I wanted to take an electrical engineering class. The counselors in the school, she put me, black woman, she did what she wanted to do. She put me in the computer, she put me into creative writing. And they're like, no, I don't want to take creative writing as an elective. It's my elective, it should be my choice. I want to take electrical engineering. She put me in creative writing. I told her, I don't want to do this. So I sat there with her in her office for like 15, 20 minutes. This woman said, you know what? She said, come back in a couple of days and I'll change your class to creative writing. And I looked at her because I'm like, we both know you're not going to do that. But you think that I'm just a child. You think that I'm just some little kid that doesn't know what I want to do in my life. I don't have any ambitions or no dreams. And so you're telling me to leave so that I can forget, because you know that when I leave, you know that when the average child leaves, they're not going to remember and they're not going to want to come back. But that's not who I am. But guess what? I'm smart enough to know that. So why should I keep arguing with an adult? So I left. I took creative writing. I got good at it. I got really good at creative writing. It was right up my alley because I had an imagination. I was, I am a creative person regardless. So I come from a family of creative people. So I just went with it. I went out, I learned how to write, and then bam. When it was time to decide what I wanted to do in my life, I said, I might as well move in the direction of writing video games and comic books. I love video games. Video games unify all of my desires to do physics and all that stuff. But as an African American, I didn't have the resources in the 90s and the early 2000s. You got to remember, the world that we live in now It's not the world that I grew up in. There was no all the technology stuff we have. I didn't have this cell phone. Me sitting here on the corner, ranting and raving. Man, it was impossible. That's why it was always guys posted up on the corners talking to each other. People would social media, especially in Detroit, was going out to the nearest corner and waiting for someone to show up. Some random person show up. Hey, what up, man? What's going on? How you doing today? I'm doing all right. What's your name? My name is this. What's your name? My name is that. And y'all would just have an exchange. Like, that's the environment I grew up in. No matter how much the media and society tries to convince you that Detroit is the worst city you can live in and it's the highest crime, all that stuff, all that is absolutely true. On the negative side. On the positive side, Detroit is the only place where you can... Detroit is literally Friday. Detroit is literally the place where somebody will ask you if they could borrow your car. And then Friday, it was Felicia who knew him. In Detroit, it'd be a random dude. Hey man, I got this situation going on. Let me borrow your car real quick for like 30 minutes. And the worst part is, in this city, that shit happens. Some random person will go to some other random person and they will conduct business and it will go smooth. And it only happens here. And we don't hear about it because nobody cares. No one's interested. But that stuff happens there all the time. Like, it legit. Like, that's the way this city moves. There's no other place in the world. Like, that's why even though I didn't spend half my life here, I spent more than half my life somewhere else. I claim Detroit as my birthplace because I know that the strongest parts of my personality were shaped by the adversities of the world that I grew up in as a young child in this city. You know, that's why I don't have a problem running down the street. People are like, why are you jogging down Detroit? Hey, aren't you scared? Scared of what? Scared of what? Like, I grew up here. I know everybody I know who is who when I see them. I can identify all of the adversities in this city. I know these people. I grew up with these people. This is fam, as they say. Even though I don't say it, I know how to say it. I just don't. So, again, I'm still ranting and raving. So the point of why run day? Instead of ranting and raving, let me just explain why run day. There is a difference between making a plan and executing the plan. And I have vision. I've had vision since I was 17. And I have been stunted from doing the things that I want to do by the adversities of the world, which is why I created my 2 cents. So Run Day is literally just unification of everything. It's seeing all that's going on, all that's happening, where we are, where we're going, the direction we're headed in, the limitations of a platform like YouTube when it comes to education and philosophy. YouTube has degraded down into this cesspool of just monotony. Like, it's people always talk about how TikTok is so horrible, but the reality is that the foundation was created in YouTube by the algorithms and the platform and the waste of money for advertisement, you know. But I'm digressing. The unification of making a plan and executing the plan comes from, that's like the foundation of my 2 cents. It's not just about thinking about stuff or having imagination. It's about how do you apply yourself to your life? How do you overcome the adversities of the world? How do you build a starship? Like, I don't know, like, maybe that's the easy way to say it. How do you build a starship? How do you go from a company that decided that they don't want to invest in the advancement of aerospace technology to actually building a starship? Like, how do you go from plan to product and how do you define success? How do you say, this is what I want to do, and then I achieve it? That's why Run Day is running every 3 days for a year. The plan is to run every 3 days for a year. I can't be successful in that until I run every 3 days for a year. Even though I'm standing out here ranting and raving on my cell phone, until I actually run this 4 mile, I have not achieved my objective today and all the adversities that come with that, which is my jobs. I work 2 jobs 7 days a week. All that money is going into, well, most of it goes to my wife, but all of the money I'm making literally is meant to help me not have to work 2 jobs 7 days a week. Because if I have the energy to work 2 jobs 7 days a week to make somebody else a billionaire, a millionaire, why can't I do that for myself? The money, when I work at a job for 8 hours and put that money into that register for that company, and that company makes all that money, that company didn't earn anything. I earned it all. I'm the one that is responsible for them making the money that they make. They put the infrastructure together so that I can make that money for them. But the reality is that we should all be able to do that. There's no reason why any average person shouldn't be able to start a business and put in the work to make that business successful. But that's not the world we live in anymore. That's the degradation is every corner is a McDonald's. Why does there have to be a McDonald's in every corner? The McDonald's on that corner and the McDonald's on that corner are owned by the same person making the same money. But why can't that McDonald's be owned and operated by the GM of that store? And why can't that McDonald's be owned and operated by the GM of that store? Two different people, two different families, two different revenues for the finances to flow into society. All this money is going into one person's pocket. And that's why the world is the way it is. Because that guy might like Apple and that guy might like Android. So his money is going to support Apple. His money is going to support Android. But guess what? If it's one person and he owns 10 McDonald's and he likes Apple, all his money is going to Apple. And none of the extra money he has is going anywhere else. And so the world is where it is right now today. That's just the way it works, you know. So, I think I'm done ranting and raving. I will make the final point. Run Day is literally, it's the My 2 Cent calendar for, I'm going to have to restructure my thoughts because it's going to take a long time to explain.